Okay, I've got a question. What do a set of turkey mishaps, a few dollops of Daisy brand dairy products, and a fake American accent have in common?
Not the daisy. Somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in 2023's Hallmark hit Holiday Hotline. And here, let me put my headset on. We've got a lot to talk about, Josh.
We do, Jennifer, and we'll unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
Okay, so it's Christmas in July. We couldn't be more excited. We put out the call for a few of those fan favorites that just get you in the holly jolliest of spirits. And we've got some fun recaps and reviews coming your way all this month that might just put you in the holiday spirit, Jennifer.
Couldn't hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
might as well try. Although, have you seen it in the stores? Summerween is now a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I have seen
Has
that.
it been a thing before this
I
year? I
don't
feel like
believe so. I think we're just trying to push into the next shopping season. And before you know it, those halls are going to be decked, ready to go for the Christmas season. I'm kind of here for it, to be honest.
for sure. So here's the recap of this movie, or not the recap, the synopsis. After leaving London, Abby works for a cooking hotline and connects with an anonymous caller, a single father, of course, who Abby is unknowingly smitten with in real life. Let's go.
So we open to a smattering of baked goods and a frantic mom. It is obviously Thanksgiving. The kids in the house are being kids, and they happen to swipe the turkey and dressed it like a princess of sorts. So smash cut to a cooking hotline. Think that butterball hotline. That's what we get here throughout this entire thing. And we get a montage of funny turkey mishaps, not just the princess one, but plenty of other ones. And these poor, beautiful souls at the turkey hotline trying to be all kinds of helpful with people. The funniest one to me, Jennifer, was the one who had a turkey in a clothes dryer. Did you catch that one?
She's trying to thaw it out. And that actually, I think that was a bit from New Girl too, the show. When they were trying to figure out how to make a turkey, they stuck it in the dryer for a little bit to warm it up.
Never.
'Cause that's what it was made a turkey. I wouldn't be above it. I would probably take a hair dryer to it. I'd take a curling iron to it, whatever,
Okay.
easy baby oven to it. Mm.
Yeah, we get a sweet
I'm more of I bring sides and bevies to Thanksgiving. Okay, Jennifer's like,
rolls.
so I'd give it. My druthers would be rolls and paper goods, but I can bring some stovetop stuffing, which I've been corrected many times. It's not homemade, no, but it's stovetop and it's yummy. But it also takes like 5 minutes to make. That's my threshold. That's what I know. I'm not a cook like you and your wife. I don't do that.
Understood. Understood. We get a sweet voiceover from our female lead here. Her name's Abby. She's British, and she's explaining the beauty of the hotline and how she got there. Now, the backstory here is that she's a dejected, betrayed chef, both professionally and personally from Britain, and she's new to America thanks to her lovely parents who shipped her off to Chicago, where she has assumed a persona as Peggy at the turkey hotline because she learned early on that she would have to play American to build rapport with the people calling into the turkey hotline. So Abby wants to be, in her heart of hearts, a head chef. But there's drama back home in Britain with her ex-boyfriend slash fellow chef who is a grade A jerk to her, and she officially is over it. I am too. Next, we meet Jack, our male lead. He is having dinner with his daughter at home, Jessica, but he bungled the chicken that he meant to make, so they order out. This apparently happens so often that the place knows their order, which I thought was kind of funny. His daughter wants to do Christmas dinner at their house. Jack doesn't know what to do, but all of a sudden he sees the opportunity to be his daughter's hero. The backstory here is that Jack's wife passed away. Yet again, death.
Love dead people at the holidays. Can't get enough Hallmark. Thanks for that. Last movie we had ghosts. It's like full of dead people.
Yeah, I see dead people. Anyway, Abby arrives to the Windy City. Jack's an architect, and his brother gives him a hard time about his grand plans for the holiday. Now, Abby meets her friendly neighbor, and learns that her building does not have an elevator. This building, however, happens to be the same one, of course, that Jack and his brother are going to be renovating. What are the odds? Here we go. And they show up to take a look at the place. Abby has trouble with her key and she breaks the handle off the door. And Jack is, as an architect probably would be, weirdly offended. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an architect, but I think if I were working near an architecture firm, sometimes historic things don't hold up. You gotta know when to hold them and when to fold them, like our great philosopher Kenny Rogers used to say.
There you go.
It seemed extreme. His reaction seemed extreme.
I thought so too. Okay, great.
But
It turns out it's 2 days until Thanksgiving, and Jack sees a chance to do a trial turkey because, of course, he wants to do the right thing by his daughter for Christmas. So Abby gives her neighbor some turkey advice, and clearly she knows her stuff. Now, Jack's turkey is frozen like the tundra, so it's really off to a great start for him. He's really knocking it out of the park. It is breakfast, so Jack grabs some berries and a dollop of Daisy cottage cheese, hashtag product placement, and the day is afoot. And I was puzzled that we are going to use Daisy cottage cheese and play it off like a 10-year-old girl is excited about berries and cottage cheese for breakfast. No, absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
Anywho,
Thank you. Mm-mm.
Abby's sweet neighbor Margaret offers her a spot subbing for her on the Holiday Hotline. So this is how Abby fell into her job on the hotline. Now, Abby reluctantly agrees, and she agrees to talk turkey. Now, her boss is this guy named Roger. We've seen this actor before. He was in, what was he in that we liked
He was in
last season?
the Philadelphia movie.
Yeah,
Holiday on Call or
Holiday
Christmas
on Call. Yes. He played a police officer.
Weird.
Yep.
And then he's been in some other ones too. He's always funny.
Always
He's one
funny.
of these great B characters that are hilarious to me.
Yeah.
So.
And he is really funny in this throughout. His name's Roger, and he's over the top in the best way possible. Now, it turns out Abby is awesome at this job. Also, I love the way that they shot this scene with her chatting with people throughout, where they put her with the people calling in. So you see her in the kitchen, and she's talking to them, but she's got her little Britney Spears headset on, and they're in the kitchen too, and they're not looking at each other, but they put them in the same scene together. And I think that that's just really a good way of doing it. But there's
It's really elevated for Hallmark too, like cinematically.
I
They
thought
could
the
have
same.
easily just done a split screen and had her on one side and the caller on the other and called it a day. But it was very out of the box. Yeah,
I
liked
thought so
it.
too. Yeah. There's a problem, as I mentioned earlier. Her British accent's a bit of a wall, so she has to adopt an American accent and thus an American name, Peggy. Now, meanwhile, Jack has punched his ticket on the struggle bus with the whole turkey thing, and thankfully he finds a number for the Holiday Hotline, so he calls in. Abby/Peggy happens to answer, and Jack adopts his own pseudonym, weirdly, as John. Didn't quite know why.
Why you do that?
Didn't really catch it, but I got over it pretty
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah. They don't just discuss the turkey woes that he's having, however, but also the death of Jack's wife that has him in this pickle in the first place, which is a pretty wide right turn for a turkey hotline call.
This is why I don't work in call centers, though. I feel like I would be the Peggy, and because people just talk to me.
Yeah.
I was getting an oil change once and heard a poor one's entire traumatic life story, and I don't know how to respond properly. I try to be very empathetic and compassionate, but wowzers, you just unloaded a lot on me, and it's nice to meet you, and how much is my oil change? So I feel like I would be a Peggy in this situation.
I could see that. 1000%. I think you would be a Peggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except I'm married and have a family, so it'd be very inappropriate to be flirting with a man over the turkey hotline.
For sure. For sure.
Putting the hot and hotline.
There you go. Putting the hot and crossing the hotline in hotline. Anyway.
Oh.
Jack is sad about all of this and the prospect of letting down his daughter and quickly decides that he has to go. So it's a little too much for him and he deuces out. Next day, Abby runs into Jack at the antique store. They're both looking for a new door handle for her door and they bury the hatchet around the whole thing. Abby finds a cast iron skillet and she's immediately in love with it, but she pretends to not cook because, still a touchy topic for her. Jack calls the hotline the next day, more turkey homework for him. He asks for Peggy, and she's definitely excited to see or hear from him, I should say. So sparks are starting to spark here. It's less poultry and more therapy, however, but still strangely endearing and not cheesy to me. She's catching the feels here. Were you buying the development of this relationship between Peggy and Jack?
Yes. Peggy and Jack, yes.
There you go. Not Abby and Jack?
Not so much. No, Abby and John.
Yeah.
Abby and John, I didn't really buy. Peggy and Jack, I bought way more. Because I feel like they were both, their walls were down, and it was just, maybe that's why like online dating is so big, because I feel like people get to the point quicker when they're like writing messages back and forth, or like just talking on the phone. It's not this like face-to-face fear of judgment thing. So I feel like they're both way more vulnerable on the turkey hotline.
Well said. Next day, she is scrolling faux Instagram and sees the post from her old restaurant. She feels some sort of way about it. She FaceTimes with her folks that she bumps into her festive neighbors who are decorating their apartment for the holidays. She asks for quote unquote bits and bobs to decorate her assigned wreath, and she gets an invite to the big tree decorating party. Now, this is clearly the most festive and most unrealistic big city apartment complex I've ever seen. These people are 1,000% into Christmas, and while I am 1,000% into Christmas myself, there's just no way this apartment complex exists anywhere.
Well, no, we're assuming that every tenant is 1000% into Christmas, as if there are no people who are atheist or agnostic or Jewish or anything else. It's just crazy. Yeah, it's unrealistic. But it's Hallmark's world, and hey, that's why we watch these movies.
We live in it, yeah. So Abby's off to the holiday market, of course, at the invite of a neighbor who is Jack's brother's fiance. And now there's an effort afoot to set up Abby and Jack. Again, dear listener, please remember they don't know that they've already shared their life stories as John and Peggy. So here we go.
Yeah.
Abby meets Jessica, Jack's daughter, so that's kind of cute for his brother and future sister-in-law. I thought this was a really great scene. It kind of gave me the Christmas feels. What about you?
Yeah.
Okay. We're back at the hotline.
Feels.
We're back at the hotline, and there are a few more chuckles along with Abby/Peggy's secret for cheesecake. Spoiler, of course, it is Daisy cottage cheese.
Is it cottage cheese or sour cream?
Cottage cheese, yeah.
I thought Daisy just made sour cream.
Oh, no, sweetie. They do it all. Do a dollop of Daisy. Not brought to you by
I guess
Daisy.
I've only dolloped sour cream. So
Yeah.
yeah, Daisy makes the world go round. Now, is this more egregious or less than the Folgers can in that Mariah Carey, Lacey Chabert, Brennan Elliott movie?
It's as egregious for me because we get this refrigerator that opens and full screen. We just see this perfectly placed tub of Daisy cottage cheese just sitting there like it's exactly. It's very that.
It's like the only ingredient in the fridge. They ain't got no eggs or roll cheese or milk, berries. It's just some Daisy on a shelf. Perfect.
I'm surprised we didn't hear John. I'm surprised we didn't hear John say, "I need to run to the market. I'm out of Daisy cottage cheese." Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
Oy, yeah. So anyway, John calls the hotline back to game plan Christmas, and they flirt. Again, he's chatting with Peggy here and discover that they're both in Chicago. What are the odds? Will an in-person meeting be forthcoming? One can only hope. Abby's boss gives her a hard time about the budding romance. He's really nice about it. Again, it's this actor that we really like. Abby decorates her wreath with British flags and other bits and bobs. And Jack pops by to fix the door, only to reveal he hasn't yet decked his own halls with his daughter because that was his wife's big thing. Ugh. They go off to the Christmas store.
Like, I feel like, well, we're trying to curate Christmas memories for the child of a, who lost her mother. Maybe let's deck the halls first before we worry about the bird.
Yeah.
Like,
and you would think that his
generous.
brother would be looking out for them a little bit more in that regard as well.
I didn't like the brother. He was all over the place. He gave me creepy vibes. He winked too much. I didn't like it.
He did do a lot of winking. I did like his fiance, though. I thought she was
Yeah, she was great.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
great.
So they go off to the Christmas store for a wreath hanger because she doesn't have one, an ornament or two, and some mild flirting. Now, John calls the hotline yet again. It's Peggy's turn to unpack her food and relationship drama. It is getting hot and heavy between these two. They are not talking turkey at all. They are talking everything but turkey. They are talking love, romance, broken hearts, broken dreams, broken careers, blah, 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 blah. It was hot and heavy. Now we are at the tree decorating party at Abby's apartment complex. It's super festive. Jack happens to be there. There are some stolen glances across the party, and Margaret, Abby's friend, gets sneaky and she works it out for Abby to not have to work the hotline, but to be able to go to the Chicago Christmas market so she can be there with Jack. Really, it's a festive, beautiful scene here. This turns into a snowy, twinkle light lit stroll, arm in arm. It's super romantic until Jack starts unpacking his Christmas turkey trouble, the drama around it all, the thing with the daughter, the dead wife, and Abby puts it all together because she's heard it all before, but as Peggy. And she gets big spooked and she bolts, convinced that if she tells him the truth, both versions of her will lose him. Now, Jack/John is equally conflicted. He wants to put it all on the line to see if what he has going with Peggy is real, because of course he's kind of falling in love with two women here, falling in love with Peggy on the hotline, falling in love with Abby in real life. He doesn't realize they're the same woman. Oof, there's a lot here. He calls.
When it rains, it pours.
And it rains.
Women, right?
Women. What are you going to do? Yeah. He calls the hotline and things get pretty bonkers here because stick with me. Peggy rips off her headset and she has a fantasy dance scene here, complete with the perfect turkey in the foreground. Now, John's daughter strolls into the kitchen, mentions Abby, and John hangs up. So this was sort of like she was in her own headspace, Peggy was, about dancing with John instead of really listening to him talk about the turkey. And then John/Jack was kind of in his own headspace until his daughter sort of shook him up and he starts thinking about, I don't know. It was kind of bonkers here, like I said. Now, Jack calls Abby to check in on her because, of course, she bolted during their not date the previous night and invites her to come sample the turkey. Abby is bummed that Peggy is apparently the backup chick here.
She's jealous of herself.
She's jealous of herself.
By the way, I looked up his name. It's Erica Toffley, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's his name. He was also Dasher in the Santa Summit.
Yes.
Remember the reindeer that had the little cart? Yeah,
Mhm,
that was what else he was in. So, anyways, okay, carry on.
Abby shows up and the turkey Jack made looks like $1 million. We talk about these women in these climactic scenes looking like $1 million. This turkey looked like $1 million. This was a beautiful looking turkey. He invites her to the Christmas dinner and he goes in for the kiss when they have a big moment here. She's like, "Oh, hold on a second, because I've got a big secret here that I'm not really sure that I'm ready to tell you." Now we are at his Christmas company Christmas party is the way I meant to say that. But Jack/John needs to call Peggy at the hotline. Again, this is a tender moment, but John lets Peggy go. John's like, "Thank you for everything. You really taught me the spirit of Christmas. You helped me to find love again. And thank you for everything. Goodbye and good night and good luck." Now it's up to Abby to come clean. Okay, here we go. Before that happens, we get a few lighthearted montage moments for a few more laughs, which I did like that they were kind of sprinkling in these little vignettes of people having turkey situations and turkey trouble. Turkey trouble.
Yeah, in Turkey Trouble, one lady, her kids had put like Hot Wheels cars in the bird, and it was like multicolored
Melting out of it.
It looked like silly string, but it was
It
just
did.
big.
It was gross.
Talk about microplastics. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right?
Terrible.
Mega plastics is more like it. Yeah. It's the last day of the hotline here, and they are there to celebrate the season. There's a countdown. It's a big deal. Jack shows up. Jack somehow found out where the hotline was based and shows up, I don't know, somehow with a
That's
gift.
weird, right?
It was a little weird for me. But he shows up with a gift for Peggy to thank her for everything, for giving him hope. And so this is where he realized, because Peggy gets an award for being the best newcomer of the year. He's, right there when she approaches the lectern to accept her award and realizes that Peggy is the same woman as Abby. So he is big mad about it and skeptical when she tries to apologize about the whole thing. Now, Abby on the back end of this is super sad. Also, she's super confused when her folks call with a job prospect back across the pond. So is she going to go back to England now? Oh, this is the thing we're going to have to deal with. She says goodbye to Margaret the next day. She goes back to her place. She packs her bags, the whole 9 yards, and she's going to grab a taxi. Her loser ex-boyfriend calls while she's sitting in the back of the cab, presumably on the way to England. And it's in this moment Abby realizes that she's got to stay. And she realizes she's got to cook. And you know what we get here, Jennifer? We get a 10 out of 10 baking montage. Like this was
I wondered how you think about that.
this was everything I need in a baking montage. It was spirited, it was technical, it was well shot, it was well edited. 10 out of 10. And she's off to Jack's, armed with a Yorkshire pudding. Okay, I'm here for it. There you go. So this is her grand gesture. Yeah. So they have the most satisfying of makeup moments because he is obviously super sad that she's not there to celebrate Christmas until she is there. And they have this moment outside. It's like nighttime. There's light snow falling. He's dashing out the door to go get her just as she's walking up. So it's like perfect timing. They have the most satisfying of makeup and make outs near the front porch. I was really here for it. And we get a through the window shot of the most idyllic Norman Rockwell Christmas dinner as we fade to black.
It's time for gold or coal.
Okay, it is time for our gold or coal segment where we each bring 3 gifts to the podcast. This time, if there's more gold, it's a thing of Norman Rockwell beauty. If there's more coal, it's an emergency pizza. And if it's a tie, it's just a Merry Christmas. Josh, I'm coming to you first.
So I've got to give gold out of the gate. I'm going to start with this one. I really like the way this movie was shot. And we hinted at this earlier. It was not the typical way that they shoot these Hallmark movies. It's certainly not the way they edit these Hallmark movies. It was really punchy, enjoyable, fun to watch, brightly colored in the right kind of ways. Like I just felt like it was visually interesting and I really appreciated that they did something different. So gold for me to start.
I agree. I will give some gold. I love that we finally have more of a Thanksgiving movie. I would watch this in November. Well, we watched it in June, so who am I kidding? My standards are low. But I would tell people to watch this in November to get ready for Thanksgiving. Until now, I mean, I think the only other Thanksgiving movie is like Love at the Thanksgiving Day Parade. I can't think of any other ones. So it's great to have another one in the rotation because really, to me, this is more of a Thanksgiving movie than a Christmas movie. I know they did the tree trimmings and the wreaths and the bobs and the bits, but to me, it stands out more as a Thanksgiving movie, but I loved it, so gold.
Awesome. More gold for me. The chemistry between these leads was just jumping off the screen for me. I bought it through and through. Gold.
All right, I will bring some coal. I did not pick the chemistry.
Tell me why not.
Thing at it again.
Tell me why not.
I don't need to defend myself to you, first of all. Your tone is
I
unacceptable.
am not asking for a defense. I'm just asking for an explanation.
Second of all, I thought they had more chemistry on the phones as Peggy and John. Yes. Face to face, I mean, I could see them eventually dating, but it wasn't jumping off the screen to me. I don't know.
I'll agree with that.
Go for it.
There was something with this Abby and Jack where they wanted you to kind of see them as oil and water, I think.
Yeah.
And over the phone,
Typical, but I
Yeah.
feel like if you just take the Abby and Jack scenes, was it enough to really make you believe in a relationship and a love of the time they spent together? I just feel like they didn't spend that much time together, other than they were walking and talking in Christmas tree lots a lot, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I can agree.
I,
Yeah.
I'm entitled to my opinion.
I agree. I am not trying to
I
pick a
think
fight.
leads are great. I enjoy them as leads.
Yeah, I loved them as leads. My last gift is going to be gold. I loved this Margaret B character, who was the woman who lived at her apartment complex, who sort of set her up for the hotline gig and all of that. She sort of took on this role as sort of the mentor to Abby throughout and really, I think, supported her and kind of orchestrated things for the romance to blossom. And I just thought it was really well played. Plus, she liked old fashions, which I was just like very into. I'm a bourbon guy, you know.
Very involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
There you go. Yes, she was fun. I will give gold. I love the whole you've got mail, shop around the corner. We're talking to each other, but we don't really know we're talking to each other. I do love that as a trope. And they even referenced it. I don't know if you caught it because I didn't the first time I watched it, but when they say like go get some bits and bobs at the shop around the corner for the reads, that was a little reference, and I thought that was quite sneaky and enjoyable.
A
So
little
I
wink and a nod, if you will. Yeah.
for sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So the bottom line here, we had 5 pieces of gold, 1 piece of coal. We liked it. We're going to call it a Norman Rockwell worthy Thanksgiving turkey dinner. Final thoughts for you, Jennifer.
I really enjoyed it. It's funny. I watched it the first time when it came out, like halfway. Like I think I was working while it was on. So this was my first time like actively watching it. And my son watched most of it with me because he's like, oh, I want to watch a Hallmark movie. And he is an avid listener of the podcast in all of his 7-year wisdom. And he was like, I just don't understand it. And I was like, well, he doesn't know he's talking to her and they have different names, da 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 da. And he was like, but it just doesn't make sense. And then at the end, his takeaway was, he just talks a lot. And they just talked a lot, which could be said about our podcast, honestly. So I thought that was funny. But so it's not a repeat for him, but I would watch it. Again, I would watch it every year to get ready for Thanksgiving. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really great. It's funny that you say that about your son because it was the same situation with my daughter and wife. We were watching this and I had to pause multiple times to sort of catch them up on who was who and what was what. But I will say, I think this would be one of those movies where you might see an ad for it on Hallmark Channel and you might be like, yeah, that looks okay, but I don't know that I have to watch it. And I think that that's a disservice because this movie is better than I think the promotion or the plot synopsis or what you might have thought about this movie actually is. So if you've not given this movie a shot, I would think that it's probably worth your time. And it, like you said, would be one of those that you could easily watch at Thanksgiving with your family and would be a lot of fun, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
have you seen this movie? We would love to hear from you. Did you like this movie? Did you hate this movie? What was your favorite part? Leave us a comment below and let us know your thoughts about this one. And of course, if you want to connect with us on our social media channels, you can. We've got links to everything about us on our website at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com.
Everything about us. Our social security numbers are all the same.
Blood type.
Addresses, making names all. Special thanks as always to Nick Schwartz for our theme song. Thank you for being here and listening and hopefully laughing. Hopefully we brighten your day a little bit, much like a turkey would on Thanksgiving. Next time, we'll be talking about Hallmark's 2023 movie, Rescuing Christmas. And here's the plot summary. It follows an anti-Christmas photographer as she wishes Christmas would disappear.
And that's it.
We're going to have a lot to discuss. That's it. Regardless, we're going to have a lot to discuss. And until then,
may your days be merry and bright. By the way, Jennifer, can you imagine like if our plot synopsis was just like one sentence? It's time for gold or coal. After just like one sentence. Wouldn't make for a great podcast. Hey, we'll see you next time.
bye.